Hello YouTube and welcome to Full Dottle, a channel dedicated to tamping topics such as pipes, tobacco, lore, and more. I am your host, the Bearded Briarman, and without further ado, let's get lit. Welcome back everyone, and on this episode of Full Dottle, I'm going to tell you a little story about when I was in Iraq. Little housekeeping. I'm smoking the Friday 7 Ellie. It's a 673 KS rusticated Romalusite. And in it, I am smoking some Cornell and Deal Bayou Morning. If it seems like I'm smoking that quite a bit, it's because I am. I'm going to be doing a review on it probably in the coming week, so I'm trying to get a feel for it. Anyway, in the Marine Corps, I was a combat engineer. And for anybody that doesn't know what we did, combat engineers are usually attached to an infantry unit. And when you go into battle, the infantry unit is up front. They do all their things with them, attached to them. And anytime they face an obstacle or something like a minefield or something like that, the combat engineers come forward, clear it out of the way, and then we continue to push on. Well, my unit was one of the first units in Baghdad. Baghdad was a multi-front approach, and we shared the crossing of the red line with other units from the Army and such, but my unit was one of the southern push. It was a southeast push into Baghdad. And that first night was the hairiest night I've ever experienced. It was crazy. The main shock and awe bombardment of the outlying areas had already completed, and I mean it was devastating. So we pull up and we enter into a Republican Guard training facility, and the Republican Guard for the Iraqis was their special forces. There was no big battle that night with the Republican Guard. They had already evacuated the area and pushed on as we were coming in. And we spent the night in an open area. It's the only area that was available to us. I mean, we're talking desert environment, basically. There was an open area, and they pulled in a bunch of the troop carriers and tanks and stuff like that, and we slept in the middle of them to provide cover from incoming fire. That first night was my first experience hearing the call to prayer on the loudspeakers. Within most of the cities in Iraq, certain parts of the day in the Muslim faith, they have a call to prayer, and then they have their prayer. Usually it's in type of a sing-song style where they chant it out, sing it out. And it can be at times quite beautiful. But in the middle of the night, first time ever hearing it, that low, song-like voice was extremely eerie. It was off-putting for sure. Anyway, the next day we get up. And we start to navigate our way around the training facility. The area had already been cleared of combatants, but it wasn't cleared to the point where, you know, all of the area was combed for evidence of, you know, whatever the case may be, because at that point we were still looking for weapons of mass destruction or evidence of it. So, can't stay lit. We're combing the building, and we're finding some pretty cool stuff, man. These guys, what they would do is they would block a hallway off, and in the room, like right adjacent to the room, they would block the hallway off, and then you'd go into the room, and in the closet they had busted out the wall to provide access to the rest of the building. which was a horrible idea because that basically bottlenecks your movement. And all you have to do is put up a point of fire, and it's horrible. But we were going around, searching around, and we had split up into basically two-man teams looking around. And all of a sudden I hear this scream from another room. They're calling my name, Win, get over here. And immediately I thought they had entered an engagement. So I run down the hall and I start to enter the room that I hear them calling from, and they tell me, stop! So I stop, and I look around. There's nobody else but my fellow Marines in this room, and I ask them, what's the deal? So they say, look down. I look down on the floor, and I don't see anything. The room that they had entered was basically, it appeared to be an administrative room. A lot of papers there. There were some personnel files and stuff like that. And the only way I knew that, I don't speak Arabic, or not. I speak enough to be able to order food and stuff like that. But I don't read Arabic except for numbers. And the way I could tell that they had personnel files was because there was cards and pictures, the ID cards with their pictures and stuff like that of these individuals. Anyway, I didn't see anything out of the normal, so I said, I don't see anything. And they said, look under the paper. So I lift up, on the ground, the papers were, you could see these little mounds. And so I go over to one, I lift it up and I look, and there's what appears to be an Italian-style toe popper mine. Combat engineers, we have training in explosives, and so I knew exactly what it was the moment I saw it. They're a very simple model. But it looked like an inert model. It was painted in a loam color, which is the color of sand. And I tell them it's a training model, it's inert. Don't worry about it. And inert means it's a dummy model, there's no explosives. It's just for training purposes. A buddy of mine says, I don't know about that, man, look at it. And so I pick it up, and with the toe popper mine, this style, it's very easy to access the inner mechanism of the mine. You just basically twist it off like a lid. So I pop the cap off of it, and inside of it is all the explosives, and the firing mechanism is sitting there just as pretty as can be. And it gives you that moment where you're like, oh. And so I froze for a minute because, I mean, what do you do? What do you do, Time stands still. There's a desk off over to my left. I take it and I set it down as gently as I can after I had removed the firing mechanism. And then I told all my friends, I said, hey guys, you're going to have to trace every step you made into this room. Lucky for us, the room, when they left in such a hurry that it was just strewn about. I mean, they didn't take the time, thank God, to booby trap these mines or leave any kind of real danger other than for us not paying close attention to our surroundings, being attention to detail. Anyway, luckily these guys, when they came into the room, how they missed them, I don't know. I guess just because they were mounted up, so your brain just naturally says don't step there. But anyway, luckily enough, there were no booby traps in the room. The mines weren't booby trapped, and we were able to evacuate all the Marines out of the room safely without any incident. Crazy, crazy stuff. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of Full Dottle. I hope you enjoyed my story. If you did, give me a thumbs up. And until next time we see each other, I bid you farewell and happy piping. Bye, everyone. Have you considered enlisting in the Full Dottle platoon yet? It's easy. Just click the subscribe button. Also, hit that bell icon to be notified as soon as I upload the next episode.